Just when you thought humanity could not get any worse, some idiot goes and does something like this. Now, I was browsing around, and according to a variety of different news websites, I mean, this event actually just took place a couple days ago, and this has blown up since. But there was a guy, he went and he made a Reddit post over on the finance subreddit titled "Banned in Path of Exile for using a macro that is necessary because of my disability. Do I have any case at all?" Now, according to various different websites, specifically PC Gamer, which is where I am quoting this from, Path of Exile and subsequently its developer Grinding Gear Games were part of a huge, extremely asinine hoax. And okay, actually, let me clear it up. It was not the finance subreddit, it was actually the legal advice subreddit. He goes on to state that I cannot use one hand and some fingers on the other after an industrial accident. They go on to explain that they can't play Path of Exile because the game requires players to frequently use potions to survive, which are bound to number keys and need to be pressed every few seconds, though that changes depending on your specific character build. I physically cannot press 4 keys every few seconds, so I use a macro that automatically does it for me. Now, as I'm sure you guys are aware, using macros are typically against a majority of video games terms of service. These macros are typically used for bots, and they essentially emulate, as this guy was attempting to do, the clicking or selection of various abilities, various items at specific intervals. So much so that while it does mimic human command, human input, it does it at such a rate that is inhuman, giving other players a massive advantage. But at the same time, while that is technically against the terms of service for a lot of video games out there, it is not necessarily against the terms of service when concerning a disabled gamer. Now, further, according to PC Gamer, in the thread, they explained that they were banned for using the macro, and they were curious to know if they had any legal recourse against Grinding Gear, since they supposedly had spent hundreds of dollars on the game's microtransactions. Naturally, the post quickly drew the sympathies of other Redditors who upvoted the thread to the Legal Advice's front page. It then spilled over onto Twitter and other social media platforms. Players were very upset, and notably so. An innocent player had gotten caught up in the machinery of some automated system and was unjustly banned for it, and people wanted to see a happy ending. When I saw the thread, I contacted Grinding Gear Games CEO and founder Chris Wilson to see if their ban was being investigated. Wilson told me that the studio was looking into the issue but couldn't find any cases of a player being banned that matched a few details given by the person that uploaded the thread. We're curious about what happened here because banning for this is not in line with our internal policies and we cannot find any evidence of it occurring, Wilson said. Meanwhile, the backlash on social media was growing. Disability advocates like Able Gamer Steven Spawn were discussing the incident and asking Grinding Gear to investigate and overturn the ban. Other gaming outlets like The Gamer and Game Rant also published stories on the original Reddit thread, increasing the lie's visibility. But without any more leads, there was nothing Grinding Gear could do. The following day, the account that posted the message onto that subreddit went on over to the Path of Exile subreddit specifically. They made another thread and they claimed the entire thing was a farce. Yeah, they made the entire thing up just for the lulz. Now, the initial thread that was posted on Reddit has since been completely removed. The follow-up thread that was posted on the Path of Exile subreddit was actually titled LAOP here. The legal advice post regarding disability in Path of Exile is fake. This was posted by the very same account. They went on to state quite a bit of information in it. This has run its course and the point has been made after thousands of responses across multiple different subreddits and nearly 100,000 views. So it's time to come clean about my legal advice post being fake. According to them, they are an educator and they did this as a demonstration for their class on how easy it is to manipulate public opinion and discourse through social media. So in essence, this guy, he wrote up a sob story to try and garner sympathy and attention from players that thought he was legitimately disabled, just so he could prove how easy it is to cause drama amongst players, amongst the player base, and amongst the developers and publishers and companies themselves. How easy it is to manipulate people into jumping on a bandwagon as sheep and terrorizing a company who did absolutely nothing wrong without literally any evidence whatsoever other than the fact that this guy said that this happened. Now, according to the Reddit thread, I also wrote the top response and had one of my grad students post it. This is a really important point. I was only responsible for planting the seed with the 2 posts on the legal advice subreddit. All the other discussions, all the other arguments, etc. across the other subreddits grew by itself. Now, according to PC Gamer, minutes after that second post was made, however, it was edited and the original message was replaced by someone claiming to have hacked their account using their security questions. Just very unusual and very coincidental. A few minutes after that, the post was then deleted entirely, though not before people grabbed screen captures of it. Their confession that they're really a teacher seems just as dubious as their original thread. The only thing we know for certain is that this was all a pointless and insensitive hoax. Honestly, I feel kind of sick about all of this. Wilson wrote in a follow-up email to me, it's undermining the legitimacy of real issues, and the Twitter thread caused us some pretty bad PR damage. And all of this when Path of Exile 2 just had its recent trailer announced as well. I'm under the impression here personally that this guy has quite an issue with Path of Exile, maybe with the developers themselves, and he used this as a means to personally attack the developer, personally attack the game for whatever reason. In addition to grinding gear being dragged through the mud, not to mention the stress it likely caused community managers and developers trying to fix the issue, it's equally infuriating how the post hijacked accessibility issues to express the obvious fact that lying can be harmful. Like, for real. Pretending to be a disabled gamer just to harass a company is the lowest of the low, Spawn wrote on Twitter after learning the truth. People are already skeptical of people claiming to be disabled, so congratulations, troll, you did it. You made the world a harder place for legitimately disabled people to get the attention of developers. A lot of disabled players cannot play games without adequate accessibility options. Players often have to petition developers to include these tools or rely on third-party solutions like Microsoft's Adaptive Controller. It's why advocates like Spawn and charities like Special Effect do the work that they're due to raise awareness. Going down into the comment section is admittedly a very bad idea. I would advise not going down there because it is a cesspool of drama and hate. But this is something that I never thought I would ever see. Like, I know that there's a lot of drama going on concerning gaming. I know that people have issues with developers, with publishers, with video games themselves, but this guy, he went onto the legal advice subreddit. Not only did he pose as a quote-unquote teacher, but he also posed as a, before that, disabled gamer to garner as much sympathy and as much attention as he possibly could, so he could essentially create this mob to attack, to berate, to just muster up unnecessary drama for Grinding Gear Games and for Path of Exile. And all of this under the guise, again, of being disabled. Like, that is just an absolutely despicable thing to do, and I cannot believe that a human being would be capable of doing that, that they would be capable of getting the attention of thousands, of tens of thousands of innocent people on social media, on Twitter, on Reddit, and then having them join them and attack Grinding Gear Games and Path of Exile, when all of it is just a farce. It is all just completely fabricated. Like, wow, there is definitely a certain spot in hell for people that pose as a disabled individual to obtain anything fraudulently, especially to create drama of this magnitude that affected tens of thousands of people, maybe more, and almost dragged the name of the company through the mud. But I mean, what do you guys think? I understand the mentality of the people that wanted to help this guy, but at the same time, they did no fact checking. There was no evidence to prove that they were in fact banned. They just jumped on the bandwagon and instantly started harassing Grinding Gear Games and Path of Exile, and this kind of absence of fact checking can often lead to situations that go wildly out of control, just like this. So yeah, this was taken very out of context. This was taken above and beyond what it really should have, but at the same time, I completely understand why. Now, again, I do think that this was an absolutely despicable thing to do, but I mean, what can you do? There are just some really, really idiotic human beings out there that constantly set the bar even lower, if that is at all possible. But anyway, guys, that is everything I want to talk about today. What do you guys think of this? I'm genuinely curious to hear your feedback in the comments below. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make it. Yeah, all hard work's gonna be worth it. Ooh.